McDonald's, the fast food giant that serves more than 90% of Americans each year, is making a massive $200 million investment. But this time, it's not about new menu items, flashy marketing campaigns, or international expansion. Instead, the company is turning its focus to the land, the cattle, and the very foundation of its most iconic product, the beef patty. In today's video, we're diving deep into McDonald's ambitious plan to promote regenerative agriculture across US cattle ranches. What does it mean for the environment, for ranchers, for your Big Mac? And is this move a genuine step towards sustainability or just corporate greenwashing? Stick with us as we unpack the details. McDonald's has always been more than just a fast food chain, with over 13,000 locations in the US alone. It's a titan in the food industry, one that influences farming practices, supply chains, and even pricing trends for beef and potatoes. So when McDonald's announces a $200 million commitment over the next 7 years to fund regenerative agriculture, the world pays attention. This investment, the company says, is its largest to date in support of regenerative farming in the US, and it comes at a time when the food industry is under growing pressure to address climate change, reduce emissions, and protect ecosystems. But what exactly is regenerative agriculture? It's a set of farming and ranching practices designed not just to sustain the land, but to restore and improve it. On cattle ranches, regenerative methods often include rotating herds to prevent overgrazing. Instead of leaving cows to chew down the same patch of grass until it's barren, ranchers move them frequently. The land then gets weeks or even months to recover. That recovery builds stronger root systems, more resilient grasslands, and soils that can capture and store more carbon. The result: reduced erosion, better water retention, healthier ecosystems, and lower reliance on synthetic chemicals and fertilizers. In short, it's about giving back to the land instead of just taking from it. McDonald's serves billions of burgers every year. That requires a massive amount of beef, and beef production is one of the most resource-intensive sectors in agriculture. From methane emissions to water use, cattle ranching is often criticized for its environmental impact. Cesar Pina, McDonald's Chief Supply Chain Officer for North America, said it best: "As a brand that serves more than 90% of Americans every year, we recognize the responsibility we have to help safeguard our food systems for long-term vitality." In other words, McDonald's knows it can't keep ignoring the problem. Customers care about sustainability, investors care, governments care, and if McDonald's wants to secure its beef supply for decades to come, it has to make the system more resilient. So, how big is this project? McDonald's says its $200 million investment will cover regenerative grazing, water conservation, and wildlife protection across as much as 4 million acres of ranchland in up to 38 states. That's an enormous scale, an area larger than the entire state of Connecticut. But here's the interesting part: McDonald's isn't handing out checks directly to ranchers. Instead, the company is working with the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. This non-profit will manage the funds and award competitive grants to organizations that help ranchers adopt regenerative practices. The goal is to ensure transparency and accountability, so the money doesn't just vanish into vague corporate promises. And McDonald's isn't doing this alone. Several of its major suppliers, including Cargill, Golden State Foods, and even Coca-Cola, are also chipping in funding. Think about that for a second. When companies this size align on sustainability, it signals a shift across entire industries. The beef rancher in Texas or Nebraska who adopts regenerative grazing practices might be funded not just by McDonald's, but indirectly by a global coalition of food giants. That's real leverage, and it could accelerate adoption much faster than if ranchers had to take on the costs themselves. Let's be honest, sustainability sounds great on paper, but ranchers have to keep their businesses alive. Jeff Trandle, CEO of the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, put it clearly: regenerative practices can actually boost ranch productivity and profitability. By improving grassland health, ranchers get stronger pastures that support more cattle over time. They use less water, reduce the need for expensive synthetic fertilizers, and often see healthier herds. So while the upfront shift requires effort, the long-term benefits can be financial as well as environmental. For ranchers, that's a win-win. McDonald's isn't alone here. Major corporations like General Mills, Nestle, Walmart, and PepsiCo are also pouring money into regenerative farming. Why? Because food supply chains are at risk. Droughts, soil degradation, and climate shifts threaten the very resources companies depend on. Investing in regenerative agriculture isn't just corporate responsibility, it's corporate survival. And for consumers, these efforts could mean a future where our food is produced with less environmental damage, more biodiversity, and greater resilience against climate extremes. But let's pump the brakes for a moment. Some critics argue that these moves amount to greenwashing, where corporations talk big about sustainability that don't deliver measurable results. Is $200 million enough? Spread over 7 years. That's less than $30 million a year. For a company like McDonald's, which generates more than $20 billion annually in revenue, that's pocket change. The real question is, will these funds genuinely transform how ranching is done, or are they just a shiny PR campaign? That's why oversight by the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation will be crucial. If the grants go to projects with real impact, this could be a game changer. If not, it risks being another corporate promise that fades away. So, as a consumer, what does this all mean? You probably won't notice a difference in the taste of your Quarter Pounder anytime soon. But over the next decade, you might hear more about McDonald's burgers being sourced from regenerative ranches. It's part of a larger trend where fast food chains highlight their sustainability efforts to win over environmentally conscious customers. And while this won't solve climate change on its own, it's a reminder that every burger you eat is connected to millions of acres of farmland, thousands of ranchers, and a global conversation about how to feed billions of people sustainably. The first grants from this $200 million program, expected to be awarded in January. That means real projects could start rolling out within months. Will this transform 4 million acres into thriving, regenerative ranchland? Will other fast food chains like Burger King and Wendy's follow suit? Or will the impact fall short of the lofty promises? Only time will tell. But one thing is clear, the way we produce food is changing, and McDonald's, like it or not, has the power to drive that change at scale. So, what do you think? Is McDonald's $200 million investment a real step toward a sustainable future, or just a flashy marketing move? And would you pay more for a burger if you knew it came from regenerative ranching? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more in-depth news and analysis, and check the links in the description for 10 amazing Amazon products we've handpicked just for you. Until next time, thanks for watching.